Read to Me is proudly sponsored by Clark County Education Association Community Foundation. Excuse Me by author Lisa Kopelke and performed by Carrot Top, funny and famous comedian headliner at Luxor, Las Vegas.
Hey everybody, it's Carrot Top, and today we're going to read Excuse Me by Lisa Kopelke. Frog loved to eat, and Frog loved to burp. Burp. I used to get in trouble for burping, but not today. When Frog was just a tadpole, he ate a lot and burped freely. Burp, burp, burp. Whenever he went, town folk would comment, "What a good eater. Wow, how cute. Just like his father," he said. As Frog grew, so did his appetite. He ate more and burped more. And Frog ate everything. He snacked on the fly noodles and cricket tacos. He gulped down worm burgers and dragonfly soup. I would too. Enthusiastic burping, thought Frog. Not only does it feel good, but also makes room for dessert. As Frog got older, he began to notice that not everyone appreciated his burping as much as he did. At first, they held napkins up to their faces and looked away, folks said. One time after the delicious dinner and a huge burp, Frog's friends actually got up from the table and left. Yuck, they cried, as they all stormed out the door. Yuck! Agenda? Burping. Finally, the townsfolk reached their limit. Mr. Mayor called a meeting. Something has to be done, he said. They took a vote and decided to send Frog up the river. Frog was sad and confused. He packed a big lunch, waved goodbye, and left for his journey. Along the way, Frog grew hungry as he stopped to eat. After a tasty meal and a loud burp and a long nap, Frog awoke to a faint, familiar sound in the distance. Curious, he followed the sound. As Frog got closer, he realized it was the sound of burping. Happy, beautiful burping. He wandered into town and saw new frogs of all shapes, sizes, and colors, eating and burping freely. Wow! Frog was excited. The new frogs welcomed him with open arms and stinky burps. Frog jumped right in. They dined on centipede soufflés and ladybug stew, which I eat every night too. Ugh. They devoured mosquito pies and moss a la mode. Burp, they all did. The frogs burped all day, the frogs burped all night, and the frogs even burped while they slept. Imagine that. Frog was thrilled to be eating and burping with his new friends, but they soon discovered that they never stopped burping, and they never said, "Excuse me." Frog became disgusted. One day, Frog was sitting in the cafe, eating and trying to keep his burps to himself. And then he saw a flyer on the wall for the great annual Frog Jam in his hometown. It was the Frog's favorite event. Frog decided he had to go home. Nervous that he would not be welcome, he wore a disguise. At the Frog Jam, things were hopping. The smell of exotic foods filled the air. Frog's mouth watered in anticipation as he strolled over the food stands. A crowd was gathering around his favorite three-beetle chili. Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Mayor, the baby mayor, was slurping it down by the gallons. Frog joined in and ate so much so fast that a large burp almost escaped. Frog tried to hold it back. But then baby mayor let out a gigantic burp. "Excuse me," he said in a small voice. One by one, the crowd struck up a chorus of burps. They couldn't even help it. Even Mayor and Mrs. Mayor were burping. A three-beetle chili sounding hung in the air. "Excuse me," they all cried. Frog could not keep it down any longer. The burp was so big, his disguise flew off, and the crowd gasped, like my wig comes off. Excuse me," said Frog. "Frog," Mr. Mayor declared, "you are excused." The town folk cheered. They were glad to have Frog back, and Frog was happy to finally be home. Frog still loved to eat. Frog still loved to burp. But Frog decided that he loved having his friends most of all. Burp. Sorry, excuse me. See? Sorry. Is that chilling?
We want to thank our supporters for making this story possible. Excuse Me, written by Lisa Kopelke. This story is provided to you by written permission from Writers House LLC. All rights reserved.